Welcome back to another episode of RCX Unwrapped. Woo!
Tess read a lot. So
I read there's you can see this now.
This is gonna be the Tess show today.
It's okay. I mean, I had unlimited access to every book in this house, so always. It was dangerous.
So, where do you want to start?
I'll start with this one since you read this one last month. I read Phantom Hearts by Rosie Talbot and Sarah Maxwell. I thought it was okay. I think the art was really beautiful. It looked almost glossy, but it was on like non-glossy paper, so I really liked that. I thought the characters were a little bit hard to tell apart from one another. They all kind of blended together. Nor did I really like any of the characters personally. It's still a 3.5 star read because it is enjoyable and I like most things that I read. But maybe it didn't hit the right spot.
What are your thoughts on it being compared to Heartstopper?
No. Is it being compared to Heartstopper?
Yes, I'm serious.
No. That is a There's nothing similar. This is like a mystery. Heartstopper is not.
Just because it's published in the UK and queer, nothing.
No, it is not the same. In fact, maybe my love of Heartstopper stopped me from loving this. I don't know.
Just wanted to ask.
No.
I read The Other Side of Tomorrow by Tina Chow and Deb J.J. Lee. And this was beautiful and heartbreaking and sad. Look how beautiful the Naked book is, though. Very shiny. But this is about a family. It's actually a mom and a son and another girl crossing from North Korea into another country and eventually into the U.S. for safety. And it was just very sad because of the flight that they have to do for safety. But Deb J.J. Lee's art is just whimsical and
it's so beautiful.
It is so beautiful, and it made it feel not as sad, if that is possible. But just the things that they went through were heartbreaking, and I'm glad the story is told because it makes me feel things.
Yes. Lots of feelings this month. That's
many feelings.
Yeah. So next I read Tombs by Junji Ito. It seems like I'm working through one of these a month.
Mm-hmm.
This one was similar to the other ones. They're really freaky. There's one page where the girl is turned into a snail. Like her head is the shell and her tongue is the rest of the snail. And I won't like look for it, but it was I might get that tattooed. It was really freaky and I loved it so much.
Is it short stories?
Yeah, it is a bunch of short stories. Most of his work is, and his best work is the short stories because they just leave you feeling absolutely drained
and unsettled.
Unsettled. It's just awful.
That should be the name of his next book, Unsettled.
Unsettled, honestly. That would make sense. Because his art is so creepy. I say this every month. But, like, it's sharp and not pleasant to look at, but you can't look away. Gosh, I watched a YouTube video this month about how he can use jump scares using, like, his art and stuff, and when you turn the page, and it's this awfully detailed picture of a girl with her brains out or something.
That's not common in books.
No, it's really good. I highly recommend.
No, I'm good. I read Greater Secrets by Ananth, Hirsh, and Tess Stone, and this was interesting. The premise is Maya and her sister, also I think maybe her whole family, they can see this pillar of light, and like part of their destiny is to find what is there at the light, and her sister has disappeared, so her goal now is to find her sister, and basically she's getting drawn to the pillar of light. It was kind of confusing, but it's a road trip. These unlikely friends are coming to help her, and it was kind of ominous ending, so I don't really like I liked it, but it wasn't my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
The art is really interesting, and I like friendships and road trips and mysterious things, so it's interesting. And there's like a musical element to it too.
That's exciting.
So I think her sister is a musician, so that plays a big role in the story as well. That probably didn't make any sense, but
no, it made sense to me. I need to read it.
you have to read it to understand what the heck I'm talking about.
Well, guess it's more incentive.
Yep.
I also read Anzulio. So this book, when it came to the store, it was wrapped in plastic, so I could not see inside. I could only see the cover and the back cover, and I was like, I need more. So I bought it just because of the art and so that I could unwrap it and look at it. It is so interesting. It's a post-apocalyptic world, so a big wave has come and just like, we assume washed out most of creation. And there are these beings called criers, which are these like giant sea creature monster things that kind of roam the earth. And one day a crier brings 3 teenagers to this island and like sets them loose there and walks away. And it's kind of about these 3 teenagers and how they're coping with being literally washed up on an island with nothing to like help them. And it's really cool. One of them becomes a mermaid, like transforms into a mermaid over the whole process. And then another girl, she is able to, she turns into a bird and she flies and she kills things for them to eat. But when she comes back and she turns into a human again, her bird body is left behind. And vice versa when she's transforming into a bird. Exactly. So she leaves bodies behind everywhere she goes. And that's what they like survive off of. It's really cool. Eventually the criers bring more people and they have this whole little island, and it's really, really beautiful and really, really sad. And I think I need to reread it because it's a little bit hard to understand. But it was really good. Highly recommend.
Sounds very unique.
It is really unique. I'm glad the art's beautiful.
On a completely different note, I read Nothing Special Volume 1 by Katie Cook. I know. Philip finally got me to read this because we did a writing cars with it. So we talked about that. But I love this, and it's just so fun and so magical. And I'm still waiting on my pet radish to arrive. So Kickstarter needs to hurry up because look how cute the radish is. I need my own. I need my own radish. And book 2 is available, so I will read that soon.
Yeah, I need to read book 2 as well.
But it's just a magical journey, and Callie's looking to find her father. So, good luck with that.
Yeah.
But
it's really pretty.
I've already talked about this so many times, I feel like I'm just repeating myself. But it's really good, really cute. Katie Cook is delightful.
Amazing. So I read Wonder Woman Sacrifice by Tom King. So this month I kind of went on a Tom King binge. So basically, there's a lot of him in here. This ruined me. The whole thing is told from the point of view of like the villain of the story. So he's constantly talking about like the different things he's doing to try and break Wonder Woman down, and she keeps persevering and she keeps being strong and amazing. And like there's a bit with a rat where she talks to the rat in her jail cell, and I won't spoil any of it because it was really good and you just need to go and read it for yourself. But my God,
Philip hasn't stopped talking about this book.
it is one of the greatest things I've read this year, genuinely. And I have read so much good stuff this year. Like the art
luck with
is
that
beautiful.
wrap-up video.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. I don't know. Well, a couple things have been crossed off because Philip has claimed this.
No,
so
you can have duplicates. That's why we're all doing our own
really?
video.
We learn something new every day.
Yes.
Anyways, this is amazing and phenomenal, and I love her relationship with Steve Trevor so much, but I also hate it. I might cry if I keep talking, so I'm gonna put that away. So good. Please read it. Please read it.
Yeah. Earthdivers? Okay. Earthdivers by Stephen Graham Jones. The art is by Davide. Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm not good at names. But Earthdivers, basically the premise is what happened if you traveled back in time and killed Christopher Columbus. And
that's interesting.
it doesn't go quite as they hoped.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very violent, very brutal. It mostly takes place on the ships of them coming over in 1492. And there's also present day clips, and then there's also some other flashbacks mixed in, so some of the timeline got a little muddled in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
But the premise is this guy's trying to kill Christopher Columbus, and if he does it change the future? Read to find out. But there's 3 volumes. Volume 3 just came out this week.
Mm-hmm.
Last week. I don't know if I'm going to continue because it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard.
That author, I recognize.
He's
The
written
Only
a
Good
lot
Idiots.
of
Yeah, I
novels,
read
yeah.
that, and his stuff is hard to work through.
But it's really
It's
good.
really, really good, but you have to like focus,
Yeah.
and that's hard.
I did like what he said in the intro about everything. So that was pretty cool. And also, being a writer and then writing comics, it feels like sometimes they can be really wordy because they don't know how to take out the descriptors. But he did a really good job of that.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't overly wordy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good transition to his work into comics, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really good.
Brutal.
Brutal indeed. So next I read the 2nd volume of Transformers, which was somehow better than the first. I think one of the main reasons I enjoy this so much is because I did not expect to enjoy it. I was coerced into reading this. And
By whom?
by Tommy. He was like, you have to read it. It's good. And of course I read it, and of course it's good. I love how the robots are like, after their big fight in the first volume, they're like displaying symptoms of like PTSD, and their interactions with each other are so human but not human, and like, God, it is so good. It is so good. I'm sorry, that's what most of the things are going to boil down to this month. But yeah, if you liked the first one, you should read this one. You may like it more, because I liked it more.
Give it a big hug.
Yeah, honestly. So good. So good.
I feel like all of these books I already did videos on. Season of the Bruja, we did a Writing in Cars on. That's why I read this. We were doing so good with our Writing in Cars this month.
Mm-hmm.
Season of the Bruja by Durán and Sarah Soler was really beautiful. Excuse me, sir.
Todd!
Okay. But you made me lose my train of thought, Todd. But Season of the Bruja is about Isadora, or Athalia. Isadora is her abuela, and they're a family of Brujas, and something happens to her abuela, and she wants to figure out how to get her back. So that's the journey. The art is really beautiful, and honestly, I wish the story would have been expanded into 2 volumes because I wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still really good.
It's really pretty.
It is.
Hi.
You're gonna see cat butt.
Hello! Mwah.
Off you go.
Sorry, Todd. So next, I read Joe the Barbarian by Grant Morrison and Sean Murphy. This is another one that Tommy told me I had to read. I am typically not a big fan of like Knights at the Round Table, like Arthurian legends. Like, I really didn't care a whole lot for Once and Future, which I know is controversial take in this household, but this was so good. So it's about this kid, and he has diabetes, and he is home alone, and he accidentally misses like he has really low blood sugar, and he wakes up from a nap, and all of a sudden he is in this story, or this like alternate universe where he is the dying boy, and he has come to save them all. And it's it's not funny, but it is funny because he's like, there are snapshots of him back in like regular time where he's walking around like a zombie and bumping into things.
Get the boy a soda.
Right, and he spends the whole book looking for a soda, and also saving the world, and it's so good. It's so, like, we're not sure if anything is happening, anything is real, or if he's just hallucinating because he has such low blood sugar. But yeah, it's so good. There's a giant rat that talks, so.
That seems to be a common theme this month.
It is. Huh,
Rats.
interesting.
Who would have thought that? Alright, I read Barnstormers by Scott Snyder and Tula, and this book was really special because I was just envisioning this to be Amelia Earhart because I love her, but it's not that. There's like mystery, murder, mayhem, love, war, you know, all the good stuff from the 1920s. But basically, this pilot lands in this town, and then this woman's trying to get away from a marriage, so they end up flying off together, and then they steal from rich people and put on a show on the plane, and it's a good time until people start dying. And do they get away with it? Who knows? But it was really good. Tula Lotay's art is some of the most
so
beautiful stuff there is. And also, this guy reminded me of Leonardo DiCaprio in The Great Gatsby because I just can't unsee it. And I'm going to say that every time I talk about this book because it's true.
You're right.
But beautiful. And we have a piece of original art from this story on our wall.
Yay, that's so cool.
Just look at it.
That's beautiful.
But yeah, one of, I think it's part of this is on our wall.
Wow.
So beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I love.
Tula Lotay, watching her do her art is really cool because she doesn't do panels. She just does like random sketches and then they like scan it and put it together.
I love that.
So our original art is not a page. It's just random pieces from the story.
I love that.
Yeah. Like she just sketches all over
so
the place.
cool.
And it's like a mixture of different, she makes a mess. It was like chalk and pencil and charcoal. It was gorgeous.
I love that so much.
Gorgeous.
So also I read this month the 3 volumes of Snot Girl, which were so good. Oh my god, I love and hate this book so much. It's about this girl, and she's a beauty influencer, and she has terrible allergies that she has to keep hidden. And
it's the name.
It's literally in the name, yeah. And she meets this mysterious person named Caroline, and they really hit it off. But it's also like weird, and there's like murder and ghosts, and there's also a strange pill she takes to combat the allergies. But that also, like, there's no conclusion to that yet, so I assume we'll figure it out in the next volume. But she is just a horrible person, and her friends are horrible people, because it's like the beauty influencer world, so they're constantly hating on each other and constantly like putting one another down while also being like, oh my god, girl, I love you so much. And it's so good. I love a messy girl novel. I love
With a lot of snot.
so much snot, and it just makes her more charming. Like, it makes me feel a little bit bad for her, so
I can relate to the snot.
right.
Having allergies.
Allergies are so real. But yeah, it's so good. It's just a really fun read. I wouldn't say it's a happy read, but it's a really fun read.
Very fun.
Yes, highly recommend.
I read The Res Doctor. This has a big creative team on it. It's an all indigenous creative team. And this, I'm not sure if it's based on a true story, but it felt like it was. But this kid, Ryan, figures out that he wants to be a doctor, and he has to work really hard to get into med school, and he does. And it's basically just about how he works through that community to help his community. And his inspiration is one of his uncles is in jail, and he's like, I need to do better, and speaking with his ancestors. So just like the the lore of being indigenous just involved in the story. It was really beautiful. It was just too short.
Mm-hmm.
High Water Press books are really good, but they're just so tiny. So I wanted more, but it was really, really good.
Awesome. My goal this month was to read as many different superhero comics as possible. That way I can, like, understand more, you know. So I read Zatanna. And what I loved about this was it was short stories. So it's like a 2 or 3 comic arc. And so very monster of the week. She always saves the day in the end. With her silly little outfits and silly little friends. And I loved it so much. It was adorable, and the art kind of changed throughout, which I also like. I love when they bring in different artists and whatnot. It was crazy. It was kooky. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
As you expect with Zatanna.
Exactly. She is such, like, I love her so much. DC does women so well.
I love that. I read Little by Little You Can Change the World, and this is another one I feel like this one is based on a true story about Michael and how he realized that he had a voice and he could use to help his community. So the story starts when he's really young, and he just speaks out at a conference that is more for for youth, and they're like, aren't you too young to be here? And he's like, no, I can use my voice too. So it's just about standing up for what is right, and no matter how old you are. So I like the message that this one had. Again, it was just really, really short, but it was really good.
Awesome. Next, continuing with the superhero theme, I read World's Finest Teen Titans. I really like the Teen Titans. I think they're adorable, and their interactions with one another feel very true to, like, real teenagers. There's a bit where Kid Flash and, gosh, I don't remember his name, but Green Arrow's protege or whatever, and Aquaboy, they all hang out, and it is hilarious, and it felt very much like teenage boys messing around, so that was really cute. The art was awesome. I love teenagers being given too much responsibility and how they have to deal with it and the mistakes they make through that. I definitely think it's also, like, Mark Waid really gets the speech down, as I said before. Yeah, it's just a simple, like, how they came to be, and of course Robin's gotta stick up his ass, and it's really good, so highly recommend.
Always. Little Moons by Jen Storm, Ryan Howe, and Alice R.L. was so very heartbreaking. The theme is about missing and murdered Indigenous women, and it's just a very sad story because there's not happy endings. So Rihanna's grieving the loss of her sister. She disappeared. No one knows where she is. If she's been murdered or just missing, we don't know. And the whole town is reeling from this disappearance, and how it affected the whole family, especially the mom, and how she was grieving in her own way. Like, they're all grieving in their own way. And basically the mom has to leave town and be without her other kids because she just is not coping well. How some of them resort to alcoholism and drugs, and it was very sad, but it's a very real story that needs to be told because this happens way, way too often.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to cry.
That sounds great. We read very different things this month.
Yeah, we did.
Next, I read Heroes in Crisis because, again, I was trying to read everything Tom King wrote. This was probably my least favorite. I really love the idea of, like, superhero therapy and the superheroes being able to go somewhere where they can talk through their own feelings, and then any record of it is deleted, and they can anonymously heal and get better. I would have liked more of that. There's, like, murder involved, and it's easily prevented murder, and it just
Easily prevented murder.
Exactly. I'm like, and I understand, like, the ending, and I understand being in a spot where you accidentally murder people, but
Johnny Watson, watch out.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna kill Watson. I'm not the Flash.
Oh.
Spoiler alert. Anyways, yeah, I really, like I said, I loved the bits where they're like little panels where the superheroes are just talking to like the computer system. I thought that was really awesome, and I would have liked more of that rather than the rest of the story. It was still very good though, and it still made me cry a whole lot, so. The internet loves to hate on this one too. I always look at reviews for books after I read them, and it's
Never before.
Never before. No, never ever before. But it's rated like 2.5 stars on Storygraph.
Why does that not surprise me?
I don't know.
People are mean.
People are so mean.
I read Between the Pipes. This is about hockey and how much homophobia and prejudice is involved in hockey. And that made me really sad because this 13-year-old just wants to play hockey, and he's worried about scouts, and he's worried about his teammates being bullies, and there's a lot of toxic masculinity in hockey, and yeah, this one was just really hard to read because I feel like they didn't elaborate on much. There was a lot of panels where like you could tell that time was passing, but there was no dialogue or anything. There's just a bunch of art, and then him trying to deal with it on his own, and then asking his ancestors for help, and then being safe enough to come out to his family. But his team wasn't very nice, so I hated that.
Yeah.
I really, out of all of the ones that I read, this one I really wish was elaborated on further, because it could have. You read this one too, didn't you?
I think I did. I know I did read it, but I don't think I added it to the list. I'm not sure when I read it.
Probably a few months ago when
Probably
it came out.
when it came out, yeah.
But yeah, this one could have been elaborated on further.
That was my one complaint, yeah.
And yeah, like he was literally, I think, thinking about suicide and all the things that come with being targeted and bullied, and sports should be a safe space, and they weren't. And I hate that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I read it.
Yeah.
I'm glad it exists.
Exactly. Next, I technically read this on December 1st, but I was still in this house, so I'm counting it. I read Daredevil, Chip Zdarsky's run to Heaven Through Hell. He is so miserable. I just, like, every terrible thing that could happen has happened to this man. So if you don't know about Daredevil, he's blind. And he has, like, enhanced abilities, like hearing and feeling and all of that jazz. And he is just so sad. I don't even, like, it's almost comical, and it shouldn't be comical, but it is. Yeah, that's actually kind of the only thing I took away from the book. There were a few minutes where other superheroes came in and were like, oh no, be better, like, it's okay to take a break, Matt, blah 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 blah.
You just gave away his secret identity.
We gotta cut that bit out. Stop the cameras. But yeah, it was. I'm gonna read the rest of the run. But yeah.
You loved it even though he was miserable?
I love a miserable man. I'm not gonna lie. I love it so much. I've been watching the TV show with my roommates. Oh,
I still need to watch that.
It's so miserable. I love it.
Oh, goodness. I read Surviving the City, Volume 3, which is We Are the Medicine. It had been a while since I read the first 2 volumes, but you can kind of read them alone because they follow the same characters, but that's a separate story. And this one took place in high school, and they're all preparing for university, so they have to part ways with their friends. And they just discovered, or they didn't discover, but they just heard the news about the 215 children that were murdered in residential schools, and they found their graves. So they're dealing with that emotion and, like, frustration and what do we do? Like, how do we provide closure for these families, for these kids? So they create a memorial for them, and it was just more sadness and amidst the pandemic. So they're all wearing masks and social distancing, and so it felt like it was taking place during that time. And like just reliving that news of the 215 children and how many more have not been found. I was really in my feelings reading this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful, beautiful book. The whole series is really good, and it focuses on different parts of Indigenous life and real life struggles. I just want these kids to have happiness, honestly. Like, that's all I want for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hope for the future.
Yeah.
But they planted a garden, and watching them tear down the statue was pretty powerful because I felt that, yeah, it was really good.
Aww.
I recommend this series a lot.
Maybe I'll have to read it. Next I read Wonder Woman Rebirth by Greg Rucka. It's a retelling of like the origins of Wonder Woman. What I really loved about this is it's alternating issues. So one storyline is when Wonder Woman first comes to like the world of men, and then the other storyline is like years later. It's really cool how they like meet in the middle. I love Wonder Woman so much. I love the way she fights and the way she views the world. I think it is so powerful and so different from like Batman and Superman. They really are like three different entities. And she is probably the most powerful of all of them, just because she doesn't view the world in an optimistic light or a pessimistic light. There's a line.
She's a realist.
She's a realist. She sees the world as it is, she says. And it's beautiful. I love the way she interacts with other people. I love Steve Trevor so much. I love Cheetah. Like, her whole storyline in this is heartbreaking. I love her. I love this book. You should all read lots of Wonder Woman.
I read some DC books this month, which is not my norm either. I read Primer, Volume 2, Clashing Colors, by Jennifer Muro and Thomas Krajewski. Sorry. And Gretel Lusky and Nicoletta Baldari. So Gretel Lusky did the first volume, and then I think she did the issue 1 of the reboot, and then they switched teams. But the art's still really pretty and colorful, but volume 2 I feel like is more introducing her into the DC world with other superheroes, and she's getting a little hot-headed and doing too much, trying to be recognized by the Teen Titans. What were your thoughts? You read this too.
I read this as well. I thought it was really cute, and I love the way she interacts with the world and like sees the world. I did think she was really annoying, but that's also because she is 12.
Yeah, she's a little baby.
I cannot fault her for being annoying. That's just how 12-year-olds are, and I'm sure like 12-year-old girls are gonna love this book so much, and that makes me appreciate it more.
I liked her interactions with her adopted parents, and how she was calling her dad, but she was struggling to call her mom because of the relationship she had with her birth parents were very different, so she was kind of inflecting that onto her adoptive parents, and that dynamic was really interesting. And her powers are just so fun and colorful. And also, I read this after reading Teen Titans Robin and Starfire, so seeing the Teen Titans like mirrored in this story so much was really funny to me.
I love that.
Because they're different, but they're the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's having a crisis because her dad is asking for things, and Deathstroke is after her, and she's making a new friend, and she's not really a true friend, and so it's a lot of middle grade angst.
Yes.
But
yes.
I hope she gets more involved in the DC world after this.
Me too.
She's just so colorful.
She's
love
so
her.
colorful. The art's gorgeous. I love it so much. So I also read Batwoman Elegy by Greg Rucka and somebody else. We do not have a copy here because I didn't think to look at my phone when Jaclyn asked me to bring it.
We have it somewhere in this house.
But the house is big.
No, there's just a lot of books.
There's just a lot of books. It was also really, really good. It made me cry a lot. It's about, well, Batwoman, Kate Kane, and she's just been discharged from the army because she's gay. And, it's her little journey finding, oh gosh, how do I even explain it? It's very, very, Can you hear Watson snoring? It's distracting me. It was really good, and it made me feel a lot of feelings, and I loved the art a lot because it's very much, especially when she's in her Batwoman costume.
Is it the watercolor-ish looking one?
Her hair is like watercolor red, and it's beautiful. I want to be her when I grow up. Yeah,
it's a good goal.
It's a good. I know. I want to be that beautiful.
You are that beautiful.
Let's see. I have a little note written about it, but I don't know which one it is. Anyways, you should read it. I thought it was very impactful, especially for when it came out, because I'm pretty sure it came out really 2010s.
Yeah.
And just to have that kind of story in the world is really important to a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
So, highly recommend.
Being queer in the military
is terrifying, especially like even more so nowadays. So,
yeah.
Another one we both read,
Leap by Simina Popescu?
Probably.
Popescu? You want to give it a try? She's Romanian.
Okay. She's Romanian. It's a Romanian book. Was it translated to English?
I'm not sure. It's their debut graphic novel. It's about dancing. It takes place in Romania, but I don't know if it was published in another language first. Maybe
not. It was really, really cute though. I used to be a dancer, so I really I felt very intertwined with this book, and I really related to one of the main characters who's kind of like obsessed with her dance teacher because of things and reasons.
Was Sara?
Yes. And it reminded me of me and my toxic dance relationships.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
So, Anna is studying contemporary dance, and she is dating Karina, who is in classic dance. And so she's skipping her class to help out Karina more than focusing on her own dancing, and that kind of makes her spiral into, I don't want to do this anymore. And then Sara is she just moved to contemporary dance from classical, correct? And yeah, she's the one obsessed with her dance teacher, and they end up hitting it off. They become really good friends. They're roommates. And so they're both exploring their love, their sexuality. Do I still want to dance? Is this the right dance for me? Questioning everything. And then they're also in that setting where they're like stuck at school all the time. Dance is life.
Yeah.
And it felt like everything was happening, but nothing was happening. I love stories like that. It's just a character-driven story. It was really beautiful.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
The art of them dancing, and
so beautiful.
I like the first chapter page because it would be in color, and then the rest of it was in this two-tone. So I never really realized that Anna had red hair the whole time. And I was like, wait, I thought she was blonde because
this is also her.
She looks blonde, and then I'm like, wait, she has red hair. Just stuff like that was pretty cool. Seeing the different colors. It is always two-tone, but it changed from blue to like pinks. But then like the montages of them dancing was really beautiful.
Very good.
I loved it. And the athletic injury part where Karina gets injured, I was like, you better be on your best behavior. I always look at that stuff differently now. I feel it makes fun of me, but
it's true.
It's really good.
So we're down to my last two, and these were my favorites of the month. We'll talk about this one first. This is Mr. Miracle by Tom King. like I said earlier, I was trying to read as many different superheroes as possible, and I really enjoyed Tom King's writing. I think I lost my mind over this book.
That book is brutal.
It is awful, but like the moments between him and Barda are just so sweet, and like especially because, okay, so Mr. Miracle, he can escape anything, and he has proven so again and again and again and again. And at the very beginning of the book, lots of things are happening, and it's a very, very stressful time. And so he thinks the one thing he can't escape is death, and he proves himself wrong. I think I said that right.
I think so. It's confusing, but I think I know what you're saying.
Yes. He tries to kill himself, and he survives. And he's just going through the motions with all of that, because when you think there's only a one way out, especially being somebody who always has a way out, you know? So that's very much, I can't even imagine how much...
You're like stuck in his head this whole book too, and it's just brutal.
It's insane. And like his interactions with Barda and just how their relationship expands over the course of it. There's a great bit where he's in the end where he's talking about how he just doesn't know what to do and he just doesn't feel well and all of these things, and she's like, well, what about me? Like, you're going through all of this stuff and you haven't considered me in all of this. And I love that kind of thing. I love it when people stand up for themselves, and I just this is so good. I mean, the art is beautiful. It's all told in all the same panels. There aren't a lot of like deviation from that, and there's so many beautiful bits between them and interacting with their child, and like it's just really good.
The art's interesting too, how it feels like you're looking through 3D glasses sometimes.
Yes, exactly, because there are all these bits where he's like losing his mind and he's not sure what's real and what isn't.
Yeah.
And
is this on TV?
Right? Exactly.
It feels like.
Exactly. It's, God, it is so good. And I love the, like, especially there are bits where he and Barda are fighting together and they're having like a normal conversation while they're doing all of that. And I just love that so much. I cried a lot. It's really good. Please read it. It's so good. Oh my God.
I finally read Teen Titans Robin. Yay! And this is Damian and Dick, who is my favorite.
My God.
Robin. And I just love how he was like the protective older brother and Damian is being a little jerk. Mm-hmm. Seeing their dynamic I loved, and then seeing them with all the other Teen Titans that we've read about in the series so far. I'm just sad it took me forever to read this. Mm-hmm.
I love it when the Robins are like siblings and they like interact as if like they're siblings. I think that's just
I love it
wonderful.
Too. I need more of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then seeing them all together. And then right after that, I read Starfire. Which was so good.
Mm-hmm. It felt like a little bit, like not a whole lot happened in the book. It definitely felt like preparation for the final book, which is called Together, which they're all together. Yes. What I love most about this book, though, is the chronic illness representation. She has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and I love the way I think it's really cool to see that kind of thing in like the mass media, and to make other people feel seen. Like superheroes are just like them, and that's like one thing I read recently is like DC tends to make their characters invincible and like with no flaws. Yeah. But I really liked
Cami Garcia did a great job, and I believe from her dedication she also has it, so that was awesome. Mm-hmm. I haven't read a lot about Starfire, and seeing her and her sister's dynamic was really fun to read, and I was like, girl, what are you doing? But yes, I can't wait to read the finale of Together, because they literally are all coming together and helping each other. and they're all coupling up.
It's so cute.
Poor Cyborg. Oh my gosh. When he was like, oh, she's got it bad for him.
But like, it's Dick Grayson, so it's like,
yeah,
who can blame her?
I know, but Dick Grayson has one true love in his life, and I'm
It's
sorry,
true.
It's not.
Nobody
her.
else matters.
It's not Starfire.
Hashtag it's not Starfire.
It's not. I'm sorry, but it's not.
It's not. Barbara Gordon all the way.
All the way. This series is wonderful. Gabriel Picolo's art is so good, and I like how every character kind of has their own color.
Yes, their own color scheme.
Yeah, like Gar is so green, and Raven is so purple. It just makes me happy how the scenes around them are also that color.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
he does that so well.
I love it.
I love them both so much.
All right, the last book I read before we discuss our book club pick is Carmen by, how do you think you say that?
Gilliam March.
Gilliam March. So
did you read that because I told you would like it after reading Layla Starr?
No, I read it because Philip was like, you have to read it. You have
to. So, I couldn't remember if I said it out loud to you or to him.
don't think you did.
When you read Layla Starr and you loved it, I was like, you're going to love Carmen.
Yeah.
But Philip... I might have only told him that.
And then he told me, so it's fine. It counts. So it was the one book I was instructed to read over my stay in this household. Yes. And it's really good. Another one of my favorites. So it's about this ghoul named Carmen, and she kind of like assists people through death, and so
the death doula.
Yes, exactly. And so the main character of the book has just died, and she doesn't realize that she's died for the first little bit. So when Carmen shows up, she's like, you can fly now, and you can do all of these things. And it's very magical. But, oh dear.
It's hard to talk about.
It's got so much in it, and it's so well done. I feel like I can never do it justice. And like, God, and there's so many little like people connections that I love. I love like butterfly effect, the little things that affect everything else. Yeah, it's
just
really
read
good.
it.
You should just go ahead and read it. So good.
But she's also walking around naked.
She is walking around naked constantly.
And
so
I love that for her.
Honestly, freedom.
Freedom. Your stack is gonna topple over.
It's huge. It's also, I stacked it backwards. So
no, it's all good.
Alrighty.
My measly little stack.
Well, you still read a lot. Your books were just smaller.
They were tiny.
And mine are all hardcover.
Philip likes his hardcovers. Okay, so for book club this month, we picked The Ribbon Skirt by Cameron Mukwa.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a middle grade book about a non-binary Anishinaabe. I'm going to say this wrong. I practiced it.
Anishinaabe?
Yeah. So, Ang is two-spirit non-binary, and they want to wear a ribbon skirt for the ceremony, and they are not sure how that will be received in the community. So, they're asking their elders for guidance, and the elders are turtles.
Turtles! Yep.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So, the turtle spirits are helping guide Ang. Am I saying that right? Ananth. I'm really bad at this game.
It's good.
There's turtles. Okay?
There are turtles, talking turtles.
Talking turtles help guide them to what they need.
Mm-hmm.
And
like they're on a mission to create their own ribbon skirt, and so the turtles kind of like lead them to different fabrics. And
yeah, it's like clues, a scavenger hunt of clues. Mm-hmm. And like, oh well, I have this fabric, and now I need these, whatever the ingredients are to make a ribbon skirt. Literally ribbon and fabric and
elastic, string.
There was like 4 things, right?
Mm-hmm. like a fun little scavenger hunt. And they
It
go
really
on the
is.
scavenger hunt with one of their old friends who did not take well to them coming out as non-binary and two-spirit. And
Yeah, she's being really judgmental.
she's really judgmental. She's really mean, and it felt a little out of place.
She obviously has some displaced anger she didn't know what to do with.
And was taking it out on her friend, which is not good.
So there's a lot to unpack there. But they make it through. And they're also staying at their house, so they're stuck with each other.
Literally stuck with each other.
So that didn't help them being mad at each other all the time.
Yeah, they come together at the end, which I love. I love a little, as simple as it is.
It's a very simple but beautiful story.
Yeah, and I feel like I learned a lot about the traditions and what being two-spirit means and all of that.
And
stuff.
just how a powwow comes together.
Exactly, yes. The preparations for it.
Yeah, and the regalia, what it means. And have you ever had, oh my god, what is it called? Fry bread. Have you ever had fry bread?
I have not had fry bread.
It's delicious.
Okay, well,
You
it's
should try it.
bread, so.
Fry bread's really good. There's food trucks and I don't know, it just made me happy.
Yeah.
Seeing the beadwork and all the crafts.
It's so cool to see a whole community come together.
I loved it so much. Yeah. There's also a lot of resources in the back, which I appreciated. So there's a glossary of words. And they're in different dialects, so that was cool to learn about the different dialects and language. History of the ribbon skirt. History of powwows. Going to your first powwow. What is two-spirit? There's a berry salad recipe. Or wild rice berry salad recipe. So it was really cool. I learned a lot. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It was simple, but it packed a really big punch.
Yes.
So.
And there's, the crows.
And the crows.
My favorite was the turtles.
Oh, well,
of
duh.
course.
The turtles. Any book that has a talking animal, I'm sold.
I'm sold.
Especially talking turtles.
Yeah. It was about finding yourself and being comfortable with yourself and your friendships and your family and community.
Exactly.
And
all
culture
coming together
and tradition. There's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very soft middle grade book too. It wasn't overly complicated.
No, it wasn't super dramatic or anything. It was low key.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I feel like that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, it was really good. You should go read it. And if you read it with us this month for book club, tell us what you thought. Yes.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's all we have.
That's all we have for today. This video stands at 53 minutes.
Wow.
Oops. But yeah, what was your favorite book?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard question. I would probably say my favorite was The Other Side of Tomorrow, just because it made me feel something. The art was beautiful, and it was a story of, like, I've read a lot of border stories, and this one about the difference in North Korea and South Korea I had never really read about before, so that was something. And both of the creators are Korean origin, so being able to tell that story, because I know there's a lot of things we don't know about North Korea, and being able to escape either one, it's gotta be hard. So I think this one, because it was just beautiful and sad. And
my favorite was Mr. Miracle for a lot of the same reasons. It was beautiful and it was sad, and it was really, really good.
everything else I read I liked. It just wasn't like,
It
oh
didn't
my
pack as
god,
much of a punch. Yeah, I get it.
Get it.
I feel like every single thing I read this month was like, bah! It's so good.
So what was your least favorite?
My
Phantom
least
Hearts?
favorite was Phantom Hearts.
I feel like if I say my least favorite, I will get disowned as a friend, so I'm not gonna say it.
We're gonna discuss that afterwards.
That's
guess that's all.
That's all. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
And we'll see you soon.